Basil Williams, immediate past leader, Comrade Robert Corbin, officers and members of the Central Executive Committee, Mr. Sage Narayan, current and former members of the National Assembly, Cabinet, Their Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps and representatives of international organizations, mayors of the towns and municipalities, members of the regional democratic councils, members of delegations and observers, especially those who traveled from the continent with the largest concentration of Guyanese on earth, and observers and delegates from the United Kingdom and from particularly the hinterland regions, the Barima Waini, the Pomeroon Sukunam, the Uni Mazaruni, the Karo Separuni, and Rupununi regions, who escorted me here safely this afternoon. Members of the Partnership for National Unity, representing the Guyana Action Party, the National Front Alliance, the Justice for All Party, the Working People's Alliance, distinguished guests, particularly the talented artists, dancers, drummers, and musicians who have entertained us with such splendid performances this afternoon. Members of the media, members of the staff of the General Secretariat who have toiled to raise funds and to carry out the works to prepare for this beautiful ceremony this afternoon. And not least of all, my dear wife Sandra, who for the past 44 years, in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, has been anything my words, of which they have not been a few. Thank you, Sandra. Today is a very significant day in the calendar of the People's National Congress. But there are several reasons for that significance. The People's National Congress entered government as part of a coalition administration 50 years ago in December 1964. It started then on a path to transform colonial Guyana into a modern state. The PNC led Guyana independence 18 months later, on the 26th of May 1966, under the inspirational national motto, one people, one nation, one destiny. We were committed then to make that motto a reality. And we remain committed now to making Guyana one nation. The People's National Congress reform today is the heir of those who fought for national independence. We have a duty to actualize the vision of our nation's founders by continuing their work to make Guyana one nation. We cannot become one nation if we are divided. It was with that vision that our founder leader, Forbes Burnham, started talks with the People's Progressive Party in 1976 and resumed those talks in 1984. His aim then was to establish a government of national unity. It was with that vision that our second leader, Desmond Hoy, invited members of civil society, some of whom are present here today, into our party. And he succeeded in changing our party's name to PNC Reform. His aim was to promote national unity through shared governance. It was with that vision that our third leader, Robert Corbin, toiled to bring the joint opposition parties together. And he forged the PNCR One Guyana Alliance. His aim was to create a coalition that would promote national unity. And it is with that vision today, as the fourth leader of our party, that I am proud to continue the PNCR's tradition of leadership in advancing the One Nation project and in reaffirming Partnership for National Unity's commitment to that objective. My mission is to lead the PNCR and APNU into the next election and establish a government of national unity. The results of the 2011 general and regional elections should have made it clear that the majority of Ghanaian people want inclusionary democracy in order to promote national unity. People increasingly are calling on the minority People's Progressive Party to abandon its winner-takes-all attitude to governance and work with the majority to build one nation. The people want greater inclusion, not exclusion. The current dispensation in the National Assembly requires consultation and cooperation between the legislative and executive branches of government, instead of the current convention of confrontation favored by the PPP. The PNCR is convinced that greater national unity will bring greater national benefits. These include the elimination of one-party domination of the government, the enhancement of local, municipal, and parliamentary democracy, the enlargement of multi-ethnic space and the elimination of ethnic insecurity, the expansion of economic enterprise and development, and the enrichment of cultural life, as we saw on this stage a few minutes ago, the enrichment of national consciousness and pride. The PNCR made a contract with this nation 50 years ago. We, the heirs of that tradition, have a duty to transfer the injunction of inclusionary democracy from the dry pages of the Constitution into a living practice in every neighborhood, every municipality, every region, and in the National Assembly. The PNCR is an integral part of a partnership for national unity. We will together continue to fulfill our obligation to the nation, both through the legislative process in the National Assembly and in the country at large. We shall continue to work with the major sections of society, including other political parties, trade unions, private sector, and civil society, to realize our common quest for consensus on a broad national program to move this country forward. We shall continue to work to harness the talents of a broader constituency, foster the conditions for social cooperation, to deepen the democratic process, and to develop the economy. Our party is being driven by a consistent commitment to uphold citizens' democratic rights. It has faithfully preserved the democratic processes designed by our founder leaders, such as these regular congresses. The experiences of Congress, the lessons learned from consultations among grassroots members throughout the country, and the decisions of the Central Executive Committee and the General Council continue to refine and vitalize our party's ideology. The party must continuously review its policies in order to enable it to respond to the demands of the changing social, political, and economic environment in which we live. The PNC, while in government, as the chairman narrated to you a while ago, reconstructed the coastal road network, reconstructed the sea defenses, reconstructed the Suez-Linden Highway, bridges on the Kanji and Demerara River, the International Airport of Temeri, the Mahaka-Mykonia Barri Agricultural Development Scheme, the University of Ghana and the Cyril Potter campuses at Turkine, the multilateral school, hinterland schools for the first time for indigenous students. Our party embarked on rural electrification, household supply of pure water, and other infrastructural projects. It was the PNC that pioneered huge working people's housing schemes, the Amazonian lands rectification process, free education as an entitlement, and equal recognition to all religions for their observances. The PNC is proud of the vision of its founder leader and its achievements in office. We have therefore established right here the Forbes Burnham Research Institute in order to collect, preserve, and publish our founders' works for the benefit of posterity. And again, I must acknowledge and thank Dr. Jeffrey Thomas for agreeing to serve as curator for the Forbes Burnham Research Institute. We have also established the Burnham Education Scholarship Trust, and this is its third year that the BEST, a non-governmental organization, will continue to assist children from all regions to offset expenses throughout their secondary education. The PNC will improve information, communication, and education infrastructure in the hinterland and coastal areas, a weakness which continues to hinder the development of many citizens. We will continue our assault on inequality of opportunity and remove impediments to equal access to public services. The PNCR will continue to struggle to ensure that municipal and neighborhood democratic councils, which have been damaged or dismantled by the PPP, are restored. The party must be ready to fortify grassroots democracy by ensuring that the people are allowed to play a greater role in local government countrywide, by finding solutions to rural and agrarian problems. The PNCR will continue to be totally committed to ensuring equality for all and to protect citizens' fundamental rights. The brutish treatment of youths at the hands of the police force must be brought to an end. The party has defined itself as an advocate for social justice and the defender of the fundamental rights of persons in Guyana. Our party will strengthen its historic relations with civil society, religious organizations, and trade unions. The party has the responsibility to help to restore the bargaining power of the large public sector unions and to restore the integrity and viability of working peoples and non-governmental organizations, which the PPP administration over the past 2 decades has bravely undermined. Our party will continue to battle poverty, to establish working people's economic independence, and to improve their livelihood. The party's policy will be geared to finding ways to increase wealth, not to perpetuate poverty. Our party, most of all, will remain committed to achieving national unity, to building bridges to all communities and groups which are interested in the well-being of our citizens and the progress of our country. The party will continue to work towards promoting inclusionary democracy within the framework of a partnership for national unity. Guyanese deserve a good life. Guyana is facing a human development crisis as a result of the PPP's chronic maladministration. Public protests have become the visible and voluble expressions of resistance against the PPP's mismanagement of public health, public security, public works, and the public schools. Guyana in the new millennium has become more unsafe and more unstable than ever before, owing to the high rate of crime and the low quality of life. The PPP's dismal record, 21 years, has ensured that Guyana remains an unequal and poor society in which a few enjoy an extremely high income, but most endure an extremely small income. 4 out of 10 Guyanese are classified as poor, of which 3 are considered to be extremely poor. Guyana's quality of life is low. Guyana, according to the United Nations Development Programme's Human Development Report 2014, titled Sustaining Human Progress, Reducing Vulnerabilities and Building Resilience, has been ranked 121st out of 187 countries. That That position is just below war-ravaged Syria and Iraq, and 62 places below Barbados, which gained independence with us in 1966. Guyana's crushing cost of living is holding people back. The cost of living has increased threefold under the PPP regime. Guyana is a corrupt country. Transparency International Corruption Perception Index 2013 ranked us 136 out of 177 countries, 121 places behind Barbados. Growth is hampered by extensive corruption, lack of economic and employment opportunities. Guyana is an unequal society. PPP civic administration attitude and policies are harming social cohesion, undermining our sense of solidarity, impoverishing a large section of the population, alienating the hinterland regions, and gradually creating two nations instead of cementing them into one. Guyana's population is in decline. Guyanese were shocked to learn that the nation's population, according to preliminary results from the report of the Guyana Population and Housing Census 2012, had fallen. It is now reckoned to be 747,884, a decline of 3,339 from the 751,223 recorded for 2002, when the previous census was conducted. Census results show, among other things, a significant drop in the number of persons living in the East Berbice Quarantine region, Region 6. This is a region which the PPP used to consider its stronghold, but it is also a region where human safety has been seriously affected by contraband smuggling, murder, armed robbery, suicide, and piracy. The region's population was further influenced by emigration. And what about emigration? The U.S. Embassy in Georgetown confirmed the emigration trend. The embassy reported that during the last decade, under the presidencies of Bharat Jaggi and Don Ramatar, it issued 46,540 immigration visas to Guyanese. The embassy therefore has been issuing an average of 4,500 immigration visas per year since 2004. It reported that 4,572 were issued in 2013 alone, a rate of more than one visa every 2 hours from this little nation. The flight of Guyanese to neighboring countries, to the Caribbean, to Brazil, Venezuela, and Suriname, has reinforced the causal connection between crime and insecurity on the one hand, and immigration on the other. The economic crisis has lowered workers' standard of living. Protests, strikes, and stoppages, particularly by the country's largest trade unions, the Guyana Public Service Union and the Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union, have demonstrated how much labor relations between the state and its workers have degenerated. Workers are dissatisfied. The ranks of unemployed young people are increasing. The World Bank, in its 2014 World Development Report, rated Guyana as the second poorest country in the Caribbean community. The report showed that Guyana compared unfavorably with the Bahamas, Suriname, and indeed with all other CARICOM countries except Haiti. Guyana's economic development has been impeded. Its international competitiveness has been impaired, all because of the lack of major investment in public infrastructure, collapsing stellings, an aging fleet of ferries, deteriorating hinterland airstrips, broken bridges, impassable roadways, and beaten cokers and sea defenses have all become major obstacles to everyday communications, commerce, and commuting. The truth is that the nation wakes up every morning to the dreary reality of shoddy road repairs, broken schools, and underfunded university, shaky institutions, and a brigade of jobless dropouts. The truth, of course, is that the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration simply does not furnish the funds to confront the most serious challenges facing families. And what are these challenges? The quality of education at the primary and secondary levels, along the coastline and in the hinterland, and of course at the University of Guyana as well. The unavailability of jobs for young school leavers everywhere. The daily threats to human safety, where there are 3 armed robberies every day, 1 every 8 hours, 2 murders every week, 12 fatal accidents every week. And of course, not least of all, the threats of chikungunya, dengue, Bigfoot, gastroenteritis, and malaria. These are the microeconomic fundamentals which ordinary people are concerned about. These are the fundamentals which concern our people who have to go into the schools, into the hospitals, into the police stations, who have to confront the National Debt Insurance Scheme. All of these representing the unfriendly face of an uncaring state. Guyanese deserve better. They deserve a good life. The People's National Congress Reform believe that Guyana should be a nation of youth and for it. Nearly 7 out of 10 citizens are classified as youth and children. We believe that unemployment is a central issue affecting young people. We believe, and we have warned the PPP Civic, that this country is sitting on a time bomb of youth unemployment. The government's delay in dealing with the jobs crisis and its disregard for measures to defuse it and detonate a social explosion which could have dangerous consequences. The National Employment Report published by the International Labour Organization estimated that, based on Guyana's household income and expenditure survey, which unfortunately was conducted over a decade ago, about 44% of the population of working age are not economically active. The fact is that, in addition to persons said to be unemployed, many who would like to work do not actively seek jobs simply because they have abandoned all hope of finding suitable occupations. Others, though nominally employed, earn wages that condemn them to living beneath the poverty line. That report also indicated that young people suffer most owing to the fact that school leavers are inexperienced and have a long way before they can find their first job. The report of the CARICOM Commission on Youth Development, titled Eye on the Future, Invest in Your Youth Now for the Community Tomorrow. That report noted, among other things, that the primary education dropout rate was at a staggering height. Joblessness among young people in the Caribbean community, at an average of 23%, was higher than in many developed and other developing countries. Guyana, if its young people are to lead successful lives, must reduce the primary and secondary dropout school rate. It must increase the matriculation rate. It must provide new opportunities for the employment of school leavers. Young people find themselves facing a grave employment crisis, which has been made worse by the crisis in the public education system and the failure of the PPP Civic Administration to promulgate and pursue a comprehensive national youth policy. Young people are our nation's future, but they face monumental challenges under the PPP Civic. The spate of suicides among adolescents, the rising number of teenage pregnancies, the large number of school dropouts, the unavailability of job opportunities, the reports of their being victims of police brutality and torture, and the huge prison population, of which young people are said to comprise 75%, are all signs of the plight facing young people in Guyana today. The PPP Civic has no national youth policy. the PNCR does. Our strategy is to tackle youth poverty and unemployment and offer suggestions and solutions that go to the very heart of the one nation that we want to build. Our priority for a one nation government will be to ensure that everyone gets a sound education to prepare him or her for satisfying employment. PNC will start by ensuring that no child is prevented from attending school because of parental poverty. We shall ensure that every primary school child is transported to school by boat, if he lives in the Pomaruna or Vortis River, or by bus. We shall ensure that every primary school child starts school with a wholesome breakfast. We shall ensure that every family that keeps their children in school is rewarded by the state. Protecting children is a PNCR priority. We cannot be one nation, a nation in which everyone participates to the full, if we fail to ensure that every child has the chance to fulfill his or her potential. The PPPC administration's hodgepodge responses to the youth employment crisis, the President's Youth Choice Initiative, the President's this, the President's that, do not satisfy the requirement for young people, for employment for young people. Some of them will never have the opportunity to gain satisfactory jobs, and many of them are leaving schools at increasing numbers every year. The fact is that jobs are scarce. Young school leavers simply do not have the skill to equip them for the world of work. The economy simply is not providing employment opportunities for them. Young people want permanency, not adhocracy. They do not want to be placed on a hinterland dole. They want careers. They want technical and agricultural institutes in every region, not just on the coastline. They want regional branches of agricultural credit and development banks. They want a sound, serious education which could prepare them for a productive life. They want to be citizens of one nation, not residents of a zone of backwardness and economic privation. Guyanese in the hinterland deserve and are entitled to a good life. The results of the 2011 general and regional elections opened opportunities for real political, social, and economic change. A partnership for national unity and the Alliance for Change together polled over 175,000 votes, and the People's Progressive Party about 166,000 votes. These results gave the combined opposition a majority of 1 seat in the National Assembly, even by the flawed arithmetic which arrived at these numbers. The PPPC, rather than pursue a consensual policy of inclusionary democracy and cooperation with the opposition, as prescribed in the Constitution, adopted a posture of confrontation. That approach, as you know, has failed. The fact is that Guyana is in a state of crisis. The governance crisis has been aggravated by the PPPC's reluctance to acknowledge its minority status in the National Assembly and to join the majority in the movement towards establishing a government of national unity. The President's refusal to assent to certain bills passed by the Assembly has stuck like a bone in the throat of the opposition. The Minister of Finance's mismanagement of the nation's finances has been a major source of political contention, and we shall settle that very soon. President Donald Ramachar took a great leap backwards at the 30th Congress of the PPP Civic, or the PPP, on the 2nd of August 2013 at Fort Moran. His vituperative tirade was a threat to the prospect of inclusionary democracy and a menace to the project for national unity. He had the opportunity at the PPP's first Congress in 5 years, and his first Congress as President of the country, to drop his party's time-worn, winner-takes-all approach and adopt an inclusionary approach to governance. He dropped the ball. he lost.